Hello and welcome to this special video early on my new channel as I've restarted my career videos. I am also going to do a 2025 top 1000 boxes of all time. I did mention I would start this shortly. It's going to be done a little bit differently, okay? I've got some initial career videos up while I got the first 10 videos, so the first 100 fighters ready on this new top 1000. So I will do these 10 videos continuous, okay? So no other videos will come. When these 10 videos are finished, I'll go back to career videos while I get the next 10 videos ready, and when the next 10 are ready, then I'll skip off the career videos to do the next 100 from 900 to 801. So that's how I'm going to do it. So let us waste no time. Welcome to the Boxing Librarian 2025 top 1000 boxes of all time. This video features fighters number 1000 to 991. And when we think of the first fighter, it's always a spot I always highlight. Who is the unlucky fighter who's made the number 1000? And it is Scott Quigg, sadly. Okay, since I did my last top 1000 last year, I need a new top 1000 on this channel due to me the top 1000 videos being gone. So basically, I'm doing a new one. Drunk Irishman, shout out. So Scott Quigg is the unlucky fighter to end number 1000. Now obviously since last year there's been changes in people's ratings. More fighters have been added since I did my last top 1000 last year. So here is the beginning of the updated 2025 video. And Scott Quigg, okay, I've changed the slide around, added some different stats in. Good shout out to Martin2 in the chat. So Scott Quigg defeated one world champion. He fought 26 rounds against champions. He beat no Hall of Fame fighters and fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Scott Quigg had 5 fights against rated fighters, and in his career he scored a total of 26 knockouts. He scored 17 knockouts in 3 rounds or less and 6 KOs in the first round. Scott Quigg was also top 10 rated as a fighter for 6 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 33 fights. Scott Quigg though was never pound for pound rated in his career, okay, and he only had in fact 1 fight against a pound for pound rated fighter. He scored 0 wins against pound for pounders and 0 wins against pound for pound top 3 and pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. Now the bottom 2 on there, it says opposition fought and opposition beat. Now I don't give away my criteria for the opposition fought and opposition beat, so I've come up with a calculation to kind of just indicate to you. Okay, say if 18 was the highest level of opposition that the top fighter in my database has fought, Scott Quigg is on an equivalent of 2 compared to that opposition. An opposition beat if the number 1 fighter for opposition beat in my retired database, I chose to depict it as a 13. Scott Quigg comes in opposition beat rate 1 from 13. So basically I'm not going to give the opposition score, and I'm not going to, because I worked it out and it's one of my little trade secrets. So what I thought is I want to give an idea of the opposition fought and beat. Okay, so the opposition fought from 18 and from 13, they are the highest scores in those 2 categories, and all the fighters on my top 1000 will be given a number comparing to what level compared to that they have fought and they have beat. Okay, so I wanted to depict it somehow, so that's the way I chose to do it. So fights against champions, okay, Scott Quigg had 3 fights against champions, scoring 1 win with 2 losses, no draws and 1 KO. He of course has had no fights against Hall of Famers, and Scott Quigg had a total of 8 world title fights, including 5 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw and 6 title defences. As you can see, I've got a new slide background for this top 1000. I've rearranged how the slide looks, put some different stats on there. I think it just looks nice and clean. You know, there's fighter number 1000, Scott Quigg, the unlucky one in number 1000. So when we go to fighter number 999, okay, we see is Hiroshi Kawashima from Japan. Now, Hiroshi Kawashima beat 2 world champions. He had 48 fights against champions. Against Hall of Famers, Kawashima defeated no Hall of Famers individually and fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. And against rated fighters, Kawashima has a total of 6 for altogether. Knockouts, Hiroshi Kawashima scored 14 KOs, 8 of them were inside 3 rounds, and he also scored 2 first-round knockouts. And Kawashima was top 10 rated as a fighter for a total of 3 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career, was an unbeaten run of 17 fights in total, and Hiroshi Kawashima was pound for pound rated for 0 years. Now, against pound for pounders, Kawashima had just the one fight. He did not win it, therefore he scored 0 wins against pound for pound fighters and 0 wins, of course, against pound for pound top 3 and pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. So his level of opposition beat, Kawashima scores an opposition fought rate of 1 from 18, and he scored an opposition beat rate of 1 from 13, which is obviously the lowest category of opposition you can get, a 1. Okay, so in terms of fights against champions, Kawashima had 4 fights against champions, scoring 3 wins with 1 loss, no draw, and 0 KOs. He's not fought a Hall of Famer, of course, so he has 0 record against Hall of Famers. And in world title fights, Kawashima has 8 world title fights, including 7 wins, 1 loss, no draw, and he also made 6 title defences, as did Scott Quigg. So Kawashima, I've always argued 2 things on my top thousands that always, I like to highlight. I don't like how many British fighters are in bottom 300. I'm a Brit. I'm a proud Brit. So, I never like how many British fighters are in bottom 300. I wish they'd do a bit more and score higher. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. And also, I think the top thousands are very good for highlighting fighters from certain countries. And one of them is Japan, because many people are aware Japan produces a lot of good fighters. But through my top 1,000, when you see all the Japanese fighters, they really do have a much richer history in boxing than many people would give them credit for. So Hiroshi Kawashima, big shout out to Random in the chat. How you doing, buddy? I hope you all are well, guys, by the way. Hope you all are well. So there's Hiroshi Kawashima in 999, okay? Fighter number 998, I'm sad to say it's another Brit, and it is Anthony Crolla. Now, Anthony Crolla defeated 3 world champions in his career individually. He fought 72 rounds against champions, and he beat no Hall of Famers and fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Anthony Crolla had 9 fights against rated opposition, and in terms of knockouts, Crolla scored a total of 13 KOs. 6 of them were in 3 rounds or less, and Crolla also scored 2 first round knockouts. Now, as a rated fighter, Anthony Crolla was top 10 rated for a total of 4 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 11 fights. Anthony Crolla was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. He had 3 fights against pound for pound rated fighters overall, but scored 0s in wins against pound for pounders, pound for pound top 3 and pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. That's a bit of a mouthful. In terms of opposition fought rate, Anthony Crolla scores a total of 1 from 18, and opposition beat rate, he also scores 1 from 13. Now, in terms of fights against champions, Crolla had 7 fights against champions. His record included 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws with 1 KO. He has no fights against Hall of Famers at the moment. And in title fights, Crolla had a total of 6, including 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 title defence. So Anthony Crolla is number 998. When we go to fighting number 997, is the brawling Ruslan Provodnikov. Now, Ruslan Provodnikov beat a total of 4 world champions. He fought 71 rounds against champions, and Provodnikov beat 0 Hall of Famers individually. He fought 12 rounds against a Hall of Famer Pitchard, and Provodnikov had a total of 9 fights against rated fighters throughout his career. Now, Provodnikov scored 18 knockouts, 11 of them were in 3 rounds or less, and he also scored 4 first round wins. Now, he was rated as a fighter for a total of 4 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 17 fights. He was never pound for pound rated top 10 in my all-time rankings, and he had a total of 2 fights against pound for pounders overall. He scored 0 wins against pound for pound fighters, scored 0 wins against pound for pound top 3 fighters, and 0 wins against pound for pound number 1 rated fighters. An opposition fought rate, Provodnikov scores 1 from 18. An opposition beat rate, he also scores 1 from 13. Now, Now, in terms of fights against champions, Provodnikov had 7 in total, including 4 wins, 3 loss, no draw, and 3 KOs. He had 1 fight against a Hall of Famer, of course, Pritchard. That was a defeat. And he had a total of 3 title fights, okay, scoring 1 win with 2 losses, no draws, and no title defences. So Ruslan Provodnikov is in 997. Okay, when we go to fight number 996, sadly, it's another UK fighter, okay, it's Welsh fighter Nathan Cleverly. Nathan Cleverly, okay, beat 2 world champions. He fought 39 rounds against champions, and Cleverly also beat no Hall of Fame fighters individually. He also fought 0 rounds against Hall of Famers. Against rated fighters, Nathan Cleverly has a total of 8 fights, and he scored 16 knockouts, 5 of them in 3 rounds or less, and he scored 2 first round wins. Now, Nathan Cleverly was top 10 rated for a total of 5 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 26 fights, and he was pound for pound rated for 0 years. Now, Cleverly had 1 fight against a pound for pound rated fighter. He did not win that fight, so scores 0 wins against pound for pound fighters. I'll do it that way so I'm not repeating the same line 3 times because it's a bit of a mouthful. Now, his opposition fought rate also is 1 from 18, and his opposition beat rate is also 1 from 13. Now, in terms of fights against champions, Cleverly had a total of 5. He scored 2 wins with 3 losses, no draws, and 1 KO. He has no fights against Hall of Famers at the moment, and he had a total of 7 title fights, including 6 wins with 1 loss, no draw, and 4 title defences. So there is Nathan Cleverly in 996. When we go to fight number 995, it's former flyweight champion Fidel Bassa. Fidel Bassa beat 2 world champions. He fought 67 rounds against champions, and Fidel Bassa did beat 1 Hall of Fame fighter individually, and he fought a total of 30 rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, against rated fighters, Fidel Bassa had a total of 6 fights, and he also scored 15 knockouts in his career, 8 of them inside 3 rounds or less, and 4 in the first round. Fidel Bassa was top 10 rated for a total of 3 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 23 fights in total. Fidel Bassa was pound for pound rated for 0 years in my all-time rankings, and he scored 0 wins against pound for pound rated fighters. In terms of opposition fought rate, Fidel Bassa scores 1 from 18, and he also scores an opposition beat rate of 1 from 13. Now, fights against champions, okay, Fidel Bassa had 5, scoring 3 wins with just 1 loss and 1 draw, scoring 1 KO, and he had 2 fights against a Hall of Famer, scoring 1 win, no losses, 1 draw with 0 KOs. And Fidel Bassa also had 8 world title fights, including 6 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 6 title defences. Fidel Bassa didn't have a large career, and he's one of those fighters who is completely forgotten by virtually everybody. Virtually no one talks about him. Of course, at some point a career video will come on my new playlists covering his career. But yeah, he's one of those forgotten fighters, sadly, like many throughout boxing history, both modern and old. So, on to our next fighter, okay, is Luis Alberto Perez. Now, Luis Alberto Perez, okay, defeated 2 world champions. He also fought 55 rounds against champions. And Perez beat no Hall of Fame fighters individually and fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Against rated fighters, Alberto Perez had a total of 6 fights, and he scored 17 knockouts in his career, scoring 10 KOs in 3 rounds or less, and also scoring 5 KOs in the first round. Now, as a rated fighter, Perez was top 10 rated for 5 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 15 fights in total. And Luis Alberto Perez was never pound for pound ranked in my all-time rankings, and he had 0 fights against pound for pound rated fighters, therefore scored 0 wins in the 3 categories against pound for pounders. In terms of opposition fought rate, Luis Alberto Perez scores 1 from 18, and opposition beat rate, he scores 1 from 13. Like many of these fighters down at this low level do, it's not long before you see some fighters jumping up on one or both of them. But this lower stage, you know, it'll change radically as we go up, as the fighters with the greater resumes come to play. So in terms of fights against champions, he had 5. Scoring 3 wins with 2 losses, no draws, and no KOs. And Alberto Perez had no fights against Hall of Famers. He had 6 world title fights, including 5 wins, 1 loss, no draw, and 3 title defences. So, on to our next fighter, fighter number 993, it's Irene Pacheco, okay, the former flyweight champion. He defeated one world champion. He fought 32 rounds against champions, and Pacheco beat no Hall of Fame fighters individually. He also fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. And against rated fighters, he comes in with a total of 6 fights overall. Pacheco scored 24 knockouts in his career, 10 of them inside 3 rounds or less, and he scored 2 first round wins. Now, as a top 10 rated fighter, Irene Pacheco was top 10 rated for 8 years, so not too long shy of a decade. He was also quite a long reigning champion as well. When you look at his career, the longest unbeaten run in Pacheco's career was 30 fights, but he was never pound for pound rated as a fighter. Now, we did have one fight against a pound for pound rated fighter, but Pacheco did not win it, therefore scores no wins against pound for pounders in the 3 categories listed. And his opposition fought rate, okay, Pacheco scored 1 from 18, and opposition beat rate, Pacheco scored 1 from 13. Now, against champions, he had 3 fights in total, scoring 1 win, 2 losses, no draws, and 0 KOs. He has 0 fights against Hall of Famers, and world title fights. He has a total of 9, so he had quite a lot of world title fights for a relative unknown to most people. He scored 7 title fight wins with 2 losses, no draws, and Irene Pacheco made 6 title defences. So there's Pacheco in fight number 993. We have 2 fighters to go. So when we go on to fighter number 992, sadly it's another UK fighter. It's the tough Martin Murray. Now, Martin Murray defeated no world champions. He did, however, fight 83 rounds against champions, and he beat no Hall of Fame fighters individually, and he fought no rounds against Hall of Famers. Now, against rated fighters, Martin Murray comes in with a total of 8, and he scored 17 knockouts in his career, 9 of them in 3 rounds or less, and Martin Murray scored 3 first round wins. Now, Murray was top 10 rated as a fighter for a total of 4 years. The longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 26 fights, and Martin Murray was never pound for pound rated in my all-time rankings. Now, Martin Murray did have 3 fights against pound for pound rated fighters. He did not win any of them, so therefore scores no wins against pound for pounders over the 3 categories. And his opposition fought rate, Martin Murray scores 2 from 18. Opposition beat rate, he scores 1 from 13. So Martin Murray had 7 fights against world champions, okay, scoring no wins with 6 losses, 1 draw and 0 KOs. He has no fights against Hall of Famers, although that could change in the future, we will see. And title fights, Martin Murray had 5 world title fights, scoring no wins with 4 losses, 1 draw, and of course no title defences. So we have 1 fighter to go on my first 10 on my new top 1000. So that fighter is Kendall Holt. Now, Kendall Holt did defeat 4 individual world champions. He fought 67 rounds against champions, and Kendall Holt defeated no Hall of Fame fighters individually. He fought 12 rounds against Hall of Famers, and Kendall Holt also hit double figures against rated fighters with a total of 11. Now, Holt scored 16 knockouts in his career, 14 of them in 3 rounds or less, and he also scored 6 first round KOs. Now, Kendall Holt was top 10 rated as a fighter himself for 4 years, and the longest unbeaten run in his career was an unbeaten run of 15 fights. He was pound for pound rated for 0 years, and Kendall Holt had 2 fights against pound for pound rated fighters, but he did not score any wins against pound for pound rated fighters, therefore has no wins over those 3 categories. An opposition fought rate, Kendall Holt scores 1 from 18, and opposition beat rate, he scores 1 from 13. So Kendall Holt had 8 fights against world champions. Okay, he's beat a lot of champions compared to the other guys in this first 10. He scored 4 wins and 4 losses and no draws, so a split record against champions. Kendall Holt scored 3 KOs against champions. He had 1 fight against a Hall of Famer, that was a defeat, and Kendall Holt had 5 world title fights, scoring 2 wins with 3 losses, no draws, and scoring 1 title defense. So there's Kendall Holt in 991. So there's the new slide layout. I like it. It looks just nice and clean, straightforward. Each top 1000, the slides have been a little bit different here or there pretty much. But this is the style for this year's top 1000, and I settled on it. I'll set it up. I played around a bit, and I thought, right, yeah, I'll go with that. So different to last year, but you know, each one has pretty much been different, either whether it's the stats, etc., etc. I did debate, you know, putting fights against rated fighters, because pre-rating era fighters will not score well in that, but that's just Bob your uncle. At the end of the day, they'll all be getting career videos, most of them, or all of them, over the playlist, so people will then be able to go to the career videos of the pre-rating era fighters and get a breakdown of their more major opponents. Okay, these videos are not about that. They're about listing the top 1000. The stats and everything on it are for information purposes. So there's the video, 1000 to 991. I've kicked it off, like I said. The first 10 of these videos will come in order. Once these 10 videos are done and I hit number 901, okay, then I'll go back to career videos while I get the next 10 videos of this ready, at which point those 10 videos will come, and I'm going to do it in 100 fighter increments, so the playlist builds up over time, just so I can manage my time better. Everything's about managing my time now, and this way will work. So I am the Boxing Librarian. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. My brand new top 1000 for this year has now begun. Okay, and by the end of the year it will be up. Many more career videos will also be following it, and in between the excerpts of top 1000 countdowns, while I look to build over 1,000 career videos on this channel. So much more to come, but I will leave you with that. I'm Boxing Librarian, and I am out for now. Everybody take care.